team. In fourth place, I have the Tennessee Titans. I don't love Will Levis. I really like all the other quarterbacks in this division. I hate that they fired Vrabel. To me, they're an easy fourth place. Sorry, good folks in Nashville. Now to number 3, and this was one of my hardest postseason admissions. The Indianapolis Colts. I love the head coach. I think he made Jalen Hurts look like a superstar for the season with him. I think you were a pass away from making the playoffs with Wilds guy Gardner Minshew. Yeah. I'm very intrigued by Anthony Richardson. I love the upside and the measurables. And I think they have an excellent offensive line and defensive line. But I question their secondary. I don't love the wide receivers and their back seven of their defense as a whole. And Anthony Richardson, he played 4 games, got hurt in 2 of them. So I can't put him in the postseason. I think the AFC South is tougher than people thought. So I have them third. Bruce, surprised by that?
I thought you were having them in the playoffs.
Like I said, it's my hardest omission. At number 2,
Of course.
the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Of course.
8-3. Yeah, Greg's surprised. He thought I'd have them winning it. No. I'm trying to be right, guys. I'm putting real hard-earned shekels
Looking like
on
a
this
lot
stuff.
of chalk to me.
Well, you know what? I'm able to go a little chalk in this division because I took my big swings earlier, Drew. 8-3 until Trevor's injury. Wild's anti-guy, Doug Peterson, coaching for his job. Doug Peterson has won double-digit games in how many games in his career? Anybody? 1, the time they won the Super Bowl. Yeah. This is season number 2. They get to 10 wins. Just avoid the rain. I was scouring the Farmer's Almanac to see what it's like in their outdoor games. Those games in England, a little tough, but that is England. And I am interested, while I'm not a big Gabe Davis guy, I do like Brian Thomas theoretically, and so we'll see what that's like. And then at number 1 is the Texans. There is just so much to like about this team. It does seem like their only weakness is going to be running the ball and stopping the run. I'm not a big Joe Mixon guy at this point in his career, and I think their pass defense and pass offense is going to be outstanding, and their coaching is going to be outstanding. I do think that when it comes to physical running teams or them wanting to be a physical running team, they could struggle a bit, but that's, kind of minor around the edges. That, Greg Jennings, is my AFC South with 2.
Okay, so I really actually want to talk more about the Texans and the Colts more than anything, because I actually will switch the Colts and the Jags. I have the Texans, Colts, Jags, and Titans. I think the Texans will definitely win this division. I'm super high on the Texans. I think that they have legit Super Bowl potential. I think they're legit contenders. I'm not saying that they're going to win the Super Bowl, but I think that they are legitimate, true, bona fide contenders. I made a video recently discussing this with regards to what the Texans have been able to do and how they've really been able to take care of both sides of the ball, how they've been able to improve on both sides. And you're now giving your head coach, because they've already juiced up the offense tremendously to support CJ Stroud, which I think is going to help him extraordinarily. And same thing with Bobby Slowick. And you're going to have weapons. You're going to have your quarterback. That alone, and you have the coach in terms of the offensive coordinator, that alone is going to make you a legitimate contender in the NFL. Now you're adding arguably one of the best defensive head coaches. He's obviously up and coming technically, but a brilliant mind defensively. The Texans have now given him the support that he needs to really execute his defensive vision, which I don't think he necessarily was able to fully have last season, or at the very least, there wasn't enough time to kind of get what he needed to do. So with that said, you have a fully complete team here, right? And now DeMeco will be able to really take care of his side of the ball. Will he be, and this is a perfect example of this, we can use the Texans versus the Ravens in the playoffs. Obviously, the Ravens were able to pull away and really win that game quite convincingly. Imagine if they had a significantly better defense. Imagine if they had a defense, doesn't have to be at the level of the Chiefs, but a defense that was able to make Lamar Jackson uncomfortable, to make Lamar Jackson uneasy, to bring those points down tremendously. I mean, how much easier is it for CJ Stroud to get to work? And that's just using last year as a reference, not to mention now that offense should be way better. I mean, they've gotten I mean, I try to use percentages as to try to like make things make a little bit more sense rather than just say they got better, they got set better. I mean, like I have to imagine their offense got at least 25% better, which is huge, by the way, huge. And their defense as well. This team was already, I mean, listen, they were playing with house money. They were a young team, young quarterback, young coach, young all around. And they got experience. Very similar to what the Packers were able to do. They were able to get this very early on experience. They were able to win a playoff game convincingly, which matters, and then they lost a playoff game, which also matters. They needed both experiences, and they hung in there with the Baltimore Ravens until the second half. And that game could have gone a different way. It could have. Again, the Ravens definitely proved to be the better team at that moment. Just a reality. But this year now, if you were to say, hey, they're going to play again, obviously based off of no information on how they're playing this season, I would lean towards the Texans. I really would. I think that defense is going to be significantly better. And the offense is just going to continue to be on that upward trend. Bobby Slowick, CJ Stroud, weapons. Are you kidding me? Like a top receiving core in the NFL? Yeah. Let's get to work. And then the Colts. I think the Colts, listen, it is a little bit of toss-up, and I do kind of agree with what Nick is saying, where it is kind of like, I'm back and forth on this one, but I am a massive fan of what Shane Steichen can do. And I believe he will get AR correct, right? If he doesn't this season, then it's hard for me to imagine. Then I don't like to use this word because it's overused so much. Outside of him obviously getting injured, if he stays healthy and they can't get to work with him, then yeah, I would say that AR may have been a bust. Because there's no reason why, or a slow learner maybe then, a slow developer, which I'm open to. That's possible. But I just believe if you don't get it right with Shane Steichen, then you don't get it right with anyone. There's nowhere to go from there. There's no other excuse to go. And he's young. And he did get his first year, you know, he had those injuries. That was a problem, obviously. So I don't mean to come on too hard, but I just believe that, and I believe that they can be very dynamic. And I know the preseason was kind of, you know, a mixed bag for him. Very limited, obviously, limited sample size. But I do feel as though that the Colts can make the playoffs. I really, really do. I think that there's real potential that Shane Steichen and AR, and yeah, you're right. Like they, as Nick kind of pointed out, they don't have tremendous weapons necessarily. But that's where AR should be able to be like potentially like the ultimate weapon. And I do think Shane Steichen, when you give him a dynamic quarterback, he can get to work. And we saw what he was able to do with Jalen Hurts in 21, before they went to the year before they went to the Super Bowl, when he didn't have an AJ Brown. He didn't have these top level weapons just yet. And yet he was still able to help get the Eagles into the playoffs. And I think that's what Shane Steichen has a true chance to be able to do with the Colts. But they are definitely a team that I am less confident in terms of like, I really do need to see 3, 4, 5, 6 games. I'm very confident saying that the Texans are going to be a great team. Right? It would genuinely shock me if they were not. I still think the Jags will still be a good team and can definitely compete for a playoff spot. But I'm not 100% sold on Doug Peterson. I do think Trevor can be a great quarterback. I do believe that. I believe it is kind of also like kind of now or never to a degree. Obviously, he has the runway. He got the contract, so it's not like he's going to be, you know, moved on from. But it is time now to take that step forward to prove that you are him. I don't know if the Jags have done a great job of supporting him necessarily. Of course, especially in the beginning of the career. But it is. It's just kind of like, what can you do? You were supposed to be historic. Are you that? And if you're not, that's okay. But then what is your floor now then, right? Like, are you an average quarterback? Are you a good quarterback? Are you a great quarterback? Are you a Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins? Are you a Baker Mayfield? Like, where are you along here? Because you were supposed to be seen as like a top 3 quarterback. And this season will be very telling for that. It definitely will. But yeah, I definitely lean Texans 1, Colts 2, Jags 3, Titans 4. But I could definitely see the Colts and the Jaguars kind of flipping around there. So it's going to be really interesting to see how those unfold. But I also think that AR and the Colts have potential to like really light the division on fire, because I think they could genuinely catch fire. I really do. I just don't think Shane Steichen is going to suffer or struggle with the Colts for very long. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Do you think that the Texans are going to win this division? Jags, Colts, Titans? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.